There remains debate about whether battery swapping is better than fast charging, both whether it is now and whether it will remain so in the future as charging speeds, battery technology, and infrastructure continue to improve. In today's video, my aim is to share with you what I feel is the biggest advantage of battery swapping over fast charging. And this is one that I don't think I've really seen talked about anywhere else. So let's get into it. After using my EC6 for over a year now, and using both battery swapping and public infrastructure DC fast charging quite extensively, I believe that they both have their place in the EV ecosystem. I think in the NIO, having the ability to both use the public infrastructure, DC fast charging, as well as battery swap is incredible, best of both worlds. Now, both battery swapping and charging have their pros and cons. For example, charging the car obviously takes longer than battery swapping. Chargers have a much smaller footprint and they can be put pretty much anywhere, whether it's along the side of the road or in dedicated lots for charging. Because of the flexibility of charging infrastructure, they can be placed anywhere and you're pretty much always going to be closer to a place to charge your car than a place to swap your car, even as NIO has expanded their battery swap network throughout China quite extensively. I would imagine that most people watching this video are already well aware of how NIO battery swapping works, so I'm not really going to get into that today, but you can watch some of my other videos that are linked in the description if you want to see battery swapping in action. So what then is the secret, best, most underreported reason why I believe battery swap is better than charging? Well, first I will share a couple of hypothetical situations. They're not necessarily hypothetical because they have happened to me and I've seen them happen to other people online, but we'll just give some quick examples for you. So let's say I'm out and I need to charge my battery. I navigate to the nearest charging station. Using my app or my in-car navigation, it tells me that there's chargers available. When I get there, I find that in fact there are no chargers available. This could be for a couple of reasons. One, you may have been iced by a traditional vehicle, or maybe somebody who was charging their car, maybe they went off to go get some lunch or something and their car is done charging, but their car is still parked in the EV spot where they should be charging. I generally like to think the best of people. I think most people are thoughtful and kind and that sort of thing. So I will assume that most of these people that do this, whether they ice your spot or they forget to unplug their car and move it after they're done charging, I like to think that these aren't complete and total pricks. So in most cases in this situation, you'll probably just, maybe have a nice little word when they do come back and say, hey, maybe next time move the car. So this can be frustrating. It could potentially be even a dangerous situation. So it's maybe frustrating at best and dangerous at worst. Now, another situation that I've encountered personally at charging stations here in China is that most charging stations, they're not set up like, like a gas station, a traditional place where you drive up to a pump and it's one-way direction. You drive in, you pump your gas and you drive out, and there's a really obvious line, a queue of how people should be. At a gas station, the queue is always, for the most part, very clear. People know where they should be, how they should line up. In China, the case is most charging stations are basically like parking lots. There might be multiple ways to come to the charging station, multiple entrances. If every slot is full, from my experience, usually cars, at least in China, they'll just go right behind a car that's already charging so that they can kind of secure their next spot in line. There's no obvious way that people will line up. And if you hang back too far, like waiting for the first car to leave, whichever car might leave first, if you hang it back too far, somebody will try to snake into your spot. It might be different in other parts of the world. I can't say for sure. But here, people will just park right behind a car that's charging and wait for that person to leave. So instead of waiting in like a predetermined order, like a queue, a line, it's kind of more like a free-for-all when the charging station is full. This is obviously not a fair or equitable way to line up and to use the charging stations, but this is the way it is. Just like in my last example, this could cause confusion or frustration at best, and at worst, it could lead to a confrontation. Additionally, when you're at a charger, you don't really know that you're going to be able to charge your car in a reasonable amount of time because, again, you don't know when that person's going to move their car. You don't know if they're charging to 100% or to 80%. There's just a lot of factors that you don't really know and you have no control over. Even in the charging station with a really clear-cut queue, you don't know how long it's going to take you. So this is why the secret best feature of battery swapping is that you're automatically placed into a queue. Let me tell you how it works real quick. When you want to swap your battery in your NIO, first of all, you put in the navigation in your car that you're navigating to a NIO battery swap station. When you get within a few hundred meters of the station, it will automatically place you into the queue. This really is the killer feature of battery swapping. Even better than how fast it goes. Like if there's no line, it only takes you 5 minutes. Obviously that's great. You can go from 1% if you're all the way at empty, all the way up to 90+% that they prepare the batteries to charge to in 5 minutes, which is obviously faster than any fast charger that's available currently. But even better than that is that you're placed in a queue. It eliminates any possible frustration, any possible confrontation that may occur. It eliminates any possibility of somebody being like brain dead and clueless and forgetting that they're charging their car, or somebody icing your car. Nobody with a gas car is going to drive into a battery swap station. If they did, they got bigger problems, and you have bigger problems too. Essentially, it's impossible to screw it up. You go there, you push a button, it automatically backs you into the station, automatically swaps your battery. When you're done, you pull out and you leave. There's no way that you're gonna get into a fist fight. You're not gonna get shot if you're in a country that has guns. These things are not gonna happen. There's no confusion, no frustration, no confrontation. As I mentioned in the previous video about the biggest EV charging station I've ever seen, ever been to, I feel like eliminating any barriers to entry that people might have for EVs is one of the best ways that we can get people into EVs. With battery swapping, it's just so simple, so brain dead, anybody can do it. It's gonna eliminate any kind of fear or trepidation or doubt or frustration that anybody might have when it comes to buying an EV. So you tell me, what do you guys think about this feature? Do you think that just the automatically being put into a queue is a killer feature for battery swapping? I really had never thought of it before I got my NIO. And even the first few times, I battery swapped, I didn't really think about it. But then as I used my EV more and more, charged and swapped more and more, I realized that genuinely the biggest, best feature of battery swapping, even bigger and better and more important than how fast battery swapping is. Because of course, like I said, battery technology is going to improve, infrastructure is going to improve, charging speeds are going to improve. But if you still have people lined up in crazy ways, or you still have people that are brainless, clueless, or you still have people that ice your spot, it's not going to solve the problem. But with battery swapping, it does solve the problem. If you already own an EV, have you ever had to kind of fight for your spot in line, or had to tell somebody that iced you, hey, get out of my spot, I need to charge my car? Has this happened to you? It's happened to me here, very few times, but it has happened. So let me know in the comments your experience with charging or with battery swapping, or just being in public around people who either they're just kind of brainless and loopy and don't really pay attention, or maybe they're doing things out of spite because they love big oil or whatever the case may be. And of course, you can always support me by following the links below in the description. You can also just pay me if you want. So it's all good. Peace out. See you guys next time. It is so hot in Shenzhen. Jesus. When you come up to, hello. Hi. Hello, 你好。你过来冲浪吗？你过来冲浪吗？不怎么会。已经冲完了。